live, Pierre.
Welcome back to another early edition show with the hockey coach guru, Coach Frenchy, directly for the Sunshine State of Florida. And we have to find somewhere in the USA, the co-host, Michael Devellano.
Good morning, Pierre. We are
Good
in
morning.
Columbus, Ohio today.
Here we go.
Where
That's the place to be.
Yeah, tomorrow night is the opening game between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Arizona Coyotes. So I'll be a part of that, and maybe I'll do a little bit of a live stream from the booth so we can see what's going on in that game.
Oh, well, that's good.
But last night, we know that we had two games to kick off the season. The first one was the Pittsburgh Penguins against the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. And I guess first thing we saw, and this never seems to work out, does it? Which is they raise the banner and then so they raise the Stanley Cup banner for their second Stanley Cup, but then the outcome of the game always seems to be to the other team.
Yeah, that's happening. Yeah.
It seems to be a trend. It's like every single time you see this, and that doesn't really work out for the team that won the cup. But
it was the worst game for a banner go up with a margin of the difference with 4 goals. Los Angeles Kings did twice back to back, and when they won the Stanley Cup, the first opening game of the season, they lost by 3 goals. So that's really strange to see that. So it's happening for Tampa Bay yesterday, and they lost unfortunately 6-2.
Yeah, so what was crazy about this game is I think like Tampa, they've played a lot of hockey the last 2 years in a row. And that adds up. And I think in the end, this is a long season, so we're not too worried about it. They had most of their players in. I think, Vasilevsky was a little off. And the emotion of the banner thing is usually kind of like overcomes the whole situation, right? So one team's focused on the banner and the other team's focused on beating the team at the banner.
Yeah, definitely.
What was weird was that, no Malkin, no Crosby, and no Gensel. And yet it's still very lopsided. And what we saw was, first of all, I thought Jeff Carter played very well.
Like the first line did very good overall.
This is an acquisition by Ron Hextall, who obviously knew Jeff Carter from LA, that it just keeps paying dividends. I mean, he had a very good shortened season last year, and he looks great. It's like this has revived him. And it's just kind of strange that he was buried on the third line and even not even playing center in LA. And they really could have used a second line center. So I think, he's an interesting player. He kind of, I think, blended into the woodwork in LA the last couple of years. And I think he was just kind of enjoying his life there. But this seems to give him a new life, so it's good to watch. The other interesting story, and actually we'll say hello to a few people this morning. We have the Canadian Giant has joined us. So thank you, Canadian Giant. We appreciate you joining us. Our friend from Finland, Jarmo, says, moi. Good morning. Canadian Giant says he's anxious for tonight's game. I assume that's the Montreal game. That's between, it's Toronto and Montreal tonight, isn't it?
Yep.
That's always a classic. Vasilevsky was sleeping. I agree, Alan. He did not look like he was like really interested in playing this game. And actually they pulled him. They pulled him after 5 goals.
No, it was an empty net. So
it was an empty net.
Yeah, so the score, honestly, the game is differently what maybe you're thinking. You have like 3 goals in the empty net. So
right.
The 6-2, it's not exactly what we're thinking on one way. First of all, 6 front scorer for the Pittsburgh Penguins yesterday. 10 players have a 1 point yesterday. So that's another good news for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Play without, like you mentioned, Malkin, Crosby, and Gonzalez. That's we have to give credit to Mike Sullivan, how he prepared his team. For years now, we said at the beginning of the year, I'm the one said Pittsburgh not going nowhere this year. They're not going to make the playoff and everything like that. And they find a way because the preparation of Mike Sullivan is so quality. First of all, the big friend yesterday, it was the game of the Tristan Jarry. Really good, solid, never gave rebound, controlling his rebound left and right, every time that. Secondly, was all about the defense of Pittsburgh, where they are playing maybe one of the best games I never see from Marino and Pedersen, Letank over there. Dumoulin was another great game yesterday. They did very well. Cover their zone coverage was great. Their secondary completely gave Jarry to see the puck all the time. They clean up in front of the net, and they gave a chance to the Pittsburgh to win. Now, the second thing I would say, their speed of the game was unbelievable. Their urgency to win the battle, the race to get a puck, it was all over Tampa Bay all game long. And we have to give credit for, as a team unit together, what they accomplished yesterday, where the underdog team, or 99% people said they're going to be destroyed by the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I thought they would lose.
It was completely changed, completely that the outcome by the way they play, the way they make Tampa Bay create some mistake all the time. That gave a chance to Pittsburgh to score and to finish with that level of participation during the game. Where on the flip side, John Cooper said after the game, we did never show up. I think he said the way we played tonight, an American Hockey League could beat us tonight. So I think he was really upset about that. Players in NHL does not like to be on the ice when you have empty net.
No,
it's a -1 right there, right?
Right.
So
absolutely, it's not
one
a good
time.
spot.
It's not too bad. 2 times they're gonna be upset about that. But John Cooper wants to leave a message for the rest of the team. You know what? If you don't play like you play right now, let's go again. Let's just get out of the net and go. So Kucherov finished with 0 shot on the net last night. You also have a -4 during the game. And you can see now Vasilevsky gave the first goal. Reverse puck straight to the Pittsburgh, bring the puck in front of the net. He was not back at the right time. Second goal again, Brandon Boyd, where it's great to see the veteran players sign a contract as a PDO and score a first game with Pittsburgh. He's always played that way. He always want the game is important. Boyd scored big goal. He did one.
Yeah, he does always.
He got a cancer a couple years ago. When he came back, he scored a goal for the hockey fight night in Canada and return that. So he scored all those kind of goals all the time. But the 5-0, I think Vasilevsky should make that goal. Then the point shot where he barely moved and the puck go under his pad. That given a goal there was 3-0. Tampa Bay keep 3-1, empty net 4-1. They come back 4-2 and empty net 5-6 at the end of the day. So you can see Pittsburgh, if you're fans, oh, that's great. But at the same time, 3 goals on the empty net, so it'll be a little bit different overall. But we have to give credit to Mike Sullivan, how he prepared. On the flip side, Tampa Bay still on the parade, maybe on the water. And then the big guy didn't show up there. And they're going to pay. I'm not worried about that. I don't know who they play the next game, but the next game you're going to play again.
Detroit.
Be ready. that team is going to be see Tampa Bay try to heat everything, and they're going to go all over that team because they're usually the great team. They come back stronger and better after that, and I'm sure they are skating hard this morning. And Cooper mentioned, I'm sure he told them, look, we cannot play like this. I'm not worried about them. They'll be fine. But again, it's surprised to see Pittsburgh show up that way yesterday, and we have to give them credit for the way they did.
Well, unfortunately, they play Detroit next. So Detroit's first game in the season against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We know there's obviously an emotional connection with Steve Yzerman. There's a couple ex-Tampa Bay Lightning on Detroit, so maybe that helps Detroit a little bit with Mitchell Stevens had a great camp, and he looks like he's solidified the fourth line role in Detroit, but coming from Tampa. And then Adam Ernie has kind of blossomed last year. I'm not sure I'm convinced that he's going to be a big-time winger for them, but at least he's a third line guy. So there's a little bit there, but interesting matchup. And I don't know if that's a good thing for Detroit that you have an angry Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you don't want to play the next after a game like that to play against them. So it'll be interesting to see that. But again, a great game overall for the Pittsburgh, and now they're going to go to the Panthers tomorrow night. So it'll be interesting how they're going to play against the Florida Panthers tomorrow night. And back, second game and 3 night. That's what you do usually. You travel in Florida, you play one place, and then 2 days after that, you play to another place. So that's what happened.
Good morning to Vallejo, who's joined us. I mentioned Ellen Keefe. We really appreciate you this morning. Make sure that you hit like on the video. We really appreciate that as well.
We have 2 people from Finland, Vallejo and Yamo. Both of them are from Finland.
I love it. We're growing in Finland, Pierre. We need one more.
Yep.
Wake Up Buddy says, "What's up, Pierre? Good
Yep.
morning."
Good morning.
Vasilevsky did a flower. So, yeah, Fleury does, maybe that's a Fleury thing. I don't know. But, I mean, I think, listen, we can give this guy a pass. He just won 2 Stanley Cups. So I think he's in good shape.
No, but the move he did, he did the same thing. He bring the puck on the board, and
Yeah.
Pittsburgh pick up the puck. He sent in front of net, and no chance to him to come back. So um, at that moment, also it was 0-0 at the beginning of second period. So that's changed the momentum. He turned up, but all night Pittsburgh was always winning the puck, and Tampa was just racing about the puck. They was just trying to, I don't know. It was for them a preseason game.
They were scrambling. It looked like a preseason game for them, but Pittsburgh came to play.
Yep.
Good morning to Kelly, who says, "Good morning to the coach. Last year, Tampa often backup goalie versus Detroit. Yeah, I would expect to see Brian Elliott in the next game. That's probably makes sense. I don't know if they're going to start Nedeljkovic.
I don't think so. I think they will try to bring back, as a coach, you want to come back with the best players. Said, you know what, go back there, play the level. It's just about confidence at that moment. I will not see, because if you put Novoziski on the bench, it's like you punish him, because what happened in the first game, and then some player respond friendly. Maybe. I think me Cooper would tell him, no, let's go back over there, show the rest of the world who you are. You turn that, show what we need. We need you, and it's about confidence relationship between the coach and the players. I believe me Vasilevsky will be back. Could be wrong, but that would be my move if I was the coach.
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes when they have these games, I mean, I guess technically it's not back to back. So a lot of times they'll plan ahead and say, "Hey, Brian Elliott, these are your starts," but maybe not. I don't know how Tampa Bay does it. Good morning to Enertap, who we know has joined us at the evening, and I watched the Frenchy quiz the other night. That was a really good video. We're at everybody live. I love that. It's a lot of fun to see guys like Enertap and what they look like, and we appreciate you joining us this morning, and his contributions are always appreciated.
It was great to see Stefan on The Voice, because he cannot be live. And
I saw the picture. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we asked a question about him. The first, I did a question without thinking he would have that question is going to be to him. He was just like random back to back to back, and it was his turn. And we asked a question: who is Kenny Johnson? What he was born? Sweden, Canada, USA.
Kenny Johnson?
Kenny Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, he's Swedish. Yeah.
I thought, he's from Sweden. So I thought he would get it right away. And he said Canada.
Well, that's because it's Johnson. You got to say it Swedish.
No, he telling me after that. He telling me, yeah, but you should put your 2 dots over the O in Sweden. That's how we typing the word. By the other day, like everybody in the chat was talking like this. They was just laughing at him because he did all summer every question about Sweden. Whatever he was wrong, he always insert the blurb Sweden. It was always Sweden that is in the playoff, and now he doesn't go with Sweden. It was just funny night about that one.
Good morning to Corey Hill, our Ottawa.
Corey Hill back in the house long time ago, buddy.
And then our friend Frank Salazar. Seattle and Vegas should have gone to overtime. So let's talk about that at some point. So we're going to touch on that game in a second. NHL Hockey News Reports is here, Pierre, and we're excited to have him. Hey, buddies, finally some hockey that feels great, like hockey that counts. I agree. I'm excited. All right. So speaking of, last night was a historic moment. It was the first ever NHL game in regular season for the newly minted Seattle Kraken expansion franchise, playing against their expansion cousins, the Las Vegas Golden Knights. The Knights looked like on point last night, and it looked like they were going to bury them. They were up 3-0 early in the game. And then I was like, oh my God, this is going to be bad. I didn't think Grubauer looked amazing. They looked like they were having a little bit of trouble. And then suddenly they woke up. And Ryan Donato gets the first goal for the Seattle Kraken's history in the regular season, which I thought was pretty exciting to see. I think that signing, by the way, Pierre, is going to pay off really well for them. He looks like he
overall, he's another one blue collar, a little bit like that. I don't think so too much, but
good skill.
I think, if you have to play right now in NHL, a team like him, like Seattle Kraken, fit on what kind of player he is at that moment.
Maybe. I mean, he's always been, I think the issue with him is that he's not a physical guy. He's a skill guy, but he's not a big guy. And last night we saw him score in front of the net. He has good hands. He's scored a lot of goals in limited action, but it's always been tough for him to kind of crack the top 9 on the teams he's been on. So maybe this is the place. Maybe it works out for him. I don't see any reason. Like I think he scored 14 goals in the past in a season. I don't know what he scored last year. Was it 7 or 8
Yeah.
in the shortened year? Something like that. So I think this is an interesting story. And they have a bunch of guys like this, like Jaden Schwartz look really good. I thought, you know what's interesting to me, Pierre? My biggest problem with Jordan Eberly in the past was that this guy did nothing unless he had the puck on his stick. And what we saw last night is I think the Barry Trotz influence was really ingrained in him. He was the best forechecker on their team. And the back checking too, like Jordan Eberly, what happened?
Yeah.
So that was the best. And the other player that I think, and we talked about this before, that I'm really excited about is Morgan Geekie. And I think you see this is a big 6'3" centerman. He's got good skills, and he was just kind of buried in Carolina. And his little brother, Connor Geekie, who's not so little, he'll be about 6'3", 6'4" as well. He's ranked in probably the top 6 or 7 in the upcoming NHL draft. So both of them like are very, decent skilled players. And he looks like he's got a spot on the second power play unit that's locked in. Like they keep using him in preseason and they're using him here. So I think this is really a good pickup for them.
Yeah, I think it was the most impressive. It was Kiki and also Danev by his forechecking
very good
and good forecheck every time like that. It was really the two players.
I agree.
The outplay. So, but again, like this game is a little bit the shifting the momentum in the middle of the game, right? I think it's not easy. People say, "Oh, they are professional," but it takes time to build a chemistry. It takes time to make a team together, and they don't play together for years. Like if you play McKinnon, Rantanen, and Lestagawa now, they don't have to know where they have to go because they know already what it's going to be. So the chemistry play with years, it's easier for them now. They have to rebuild that one, so they don't know where the players sometimes they're going to be. Everything like that, it's just all new together. So it's reading. So, but what the coach for Kraken did, he bring the basic of 101 hockey.
Yeah.
So what he did, he said, "Look, guys, shoot the puck and crash to the net." If you think about this, the first goal, the net was easy, right there in the crease. After Leonard make the save, he pick up the rebound, he scored a goal. The second goal, it's the same way with Jared McCann. He's coming for the middle of the night and the middle of the net. He pick up right there and he tip the puck and he score right there. So you can see those kind of goal where you won at the beginning, like nobody know each other. We want to play hockey 101. Skate, speed up, and also crash the net all the time. Go in for the net, go get the rebound, and you go from there. You can see the execution is not always perfect. The power play struggle. They have a lot of things like that. But overall, I think they gave a good performance for them. And play against Vegas, where Vegas right now, they're looking good. I'll be honest with you, Vegas looking great. I think you have to give credit to Seattle Kraken, the coach, for the way he did with the team. And I know after the first period, I mentioned during the live stream, I said, look, the coach going to tell them, don't worry about the score. Don't worry about what happening here. The period is over. So let's go back, play hockey. It's 0-0. And let's try to make a good game for the next 40 minutes and we'll build from that for the next game. So that's what the mindset, I'm pretty sure they talk. And you can see the response with 2 goals. When it becomes 3-2, it can the shifting over there. Score under the goal at the third period is at Morgan Kiki, a great shot over the shoulder. Leonard, a top down bar down. But at the end of the day, great shot from him. A turnover by Jonathan Marchessault at the blue line. Give a puck right away there. It's coming down. He shoot the puck. And that's why he came 3-3. And then you have the goal at the end 4-3. But I think Seattle Kraken overall did it pretty good. Keep simple. They are the blue collar team anyway. That's what I would say.
They're not without skill. Like they have guys that can skate. They do have some guys that like Schwartz looks skilled. You see Eberly's skill is always obvious. Morgan Geekie's pretty skilled. I think Jared McCann is probably a little bit better skilled than we thought. He does a lot of blue collar things. So they don't have zero talent. And I think that's the thing that the guy that's like kind of blue collar and capitalize that might be Donskoy. He's not a great skater, but he never stops. He's always hustling. He's always on the puck. When he's got the puck, he's making the right decision. That's definitely a blue collar guy. And Yarmo asked, how is Donskoy? I think he doesn't look pretty, but he's good. Like he does all
He
the
did
right
not perform very well. I think he was there yesterday, but he
Yeah.
was not like
He's
like the way we know him usually. Have a difficult game overall. Wenberg was pretty good overall also.
Wenberg is a skilled player, right? Like that's another guy to good point. The one guy that I want to talk about for a second is Vince Dunn. And I think what you saw last night is why St. Louis let this guy go. And I said this before. The one thing that's frustrating about Vince Dunn is the turnovers. You can see it at first, just a right start on the second goal, where they put a little bit of pressure on him. It wasn't even that much. And he makes a preemptive move off the boards and basically hands it to Marchessault to walk out in front of the net. And it's like, oh my God, this is classic Vince Dunn. And then you see 3 or 4 other times in the game, including at the end of the game, he gives away the puck without any pressure. And you're like, what is this guy doing? But then when he gets the offensive side, he does good things. He gets the assist on the offensive side. So you're like, how do we balance this out with this guy? Like, he's a nightmare in his own zone.
But that's normal, right? Like it's another Tyson Barrie players, right? Those kind
It's
of
like
players
that,
sometimes
right.
a good skater, a good offensive mind. They have a difficult
Yeah.
time on defensive side, and
So
that's
bad.
what is been done, and that's the reason why he cannot be number 1, number 2 a team. He have to be number 3 and 4. Good on power play, get your time on power play, your minute over there. He's going to help in that team over there on the offensive side. On defensive side, you have to be a little bit with a veteran like Giordano, something like that, or Olechek cover him over there. I think Fleury played pretty good overall also for Seattle, but I think that's what we're going to get for Don. He's going to get 40 points per year and a 10-goal average. But again, on the defensive side, he's going to struggle what he does all the time.
Now you see why the guy was a -8 on a pretty good team. Like he creates unforced turnovers against himself. Like it's a little frustrating to watch. He's always kind of been like that, but it is what it is, and I think they understand that. I think the other points, you mentioned Fleury. Fleury coughed up the puck in a pretty bad play as well. He's a younger defenseman, but you can see that maybe nerves get to these guys. They're a little bit inexperienced. He's got some experience, but these are the sort of things that we'll have to keep an eye on over time. Is this a habit thing, or is it just like he was nervous because it's the first game? But the guy looks great as Giordano. I mean, Giordano does not look like he's 37 years old.
No.
This guy skates so well, and he's so smart, and he's great defensively. Like you can totally see, like this was a great pickup for Seattle in the expansion draft, and I think this is going to be a huge loss for Calgary. Like when you see that, you're like, oh wait, they're losing a guy that. How does Calgary replace this guy?
He's a guy who can play again 25 minutes. He's in shape. He's in, they just give him captain. So he's not going to be traded at the right deadline. Not going nowhere. He's going to be there for 2. He can play in NHL for 2-3 more years. I'm sure they talk to him before they give him the captain. If you tell that, they have an agreement between both of them and the players and the organization. And I think that's what is going to happen with him. I think overall he did pretty good. They are big on the defensive side, Seattle Kraken, by the way. They are not small defenseman. They are big. Olechek is a big guy. Fleury is not small. So they have a couple of big guys on the D. But again, the fact they don't have an elite player, sniper or something like that, I think that was big. But the biggest question last night was the goal, the 4-goal, the Seattle Kraken. Everybody was talking about this after the game on the social media and everything like that. So.
Good morning to Bud the Monkey. Thank you for joining. He says that Bobrovsky is starting tomorrow for Florida, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Yarmo brought this up before, Pierre. We know in the preseason there was a lot of emphasis on cross-checking. I didn't see anything that was like let go, but I don't think there was a cross-checking penalty, was there?
No, they have not many, like 2 penalties the first game between Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh, so it was that big. We don't see a lot of bad check or the really stuff where either the penalty or the ref the missing. There was really quiet on that side yesterday. We see a good body check, but not like something like really the ref missed this one. It was really well referee overall. And again, the biggest question was the goal, because the goal was really something where the people don't understand what's happening there.
So I personally was going, that's not a goal, but I understand the rule where you can move your foot, but if you kick it, it's not a goal. So I think they got to amend this at some point. Like now they're just trying to do things to increase goals, but he basically kicks his feet out. It hits him on the outside, and he moves it forward. And they're like, "Oh, it's not a kick because it's not the inside." I'm like,
so the people need to understand that part of this. So I did some search, and I want to get a little bit more information about that one over there. And I want to see the rules. And I'm listening with 2000, like 10, 15 years ago, they tried to changing a little bit the rules about the kick motion to bring the puck and to get a little bit more goal on the for the hockey game, and he give it a chance. I think for me the goal, the kick or the goal was good. I will give you my point about that. First of all, it takes a lot of skill and talent the way he did it. It's not easy to turn around your skate, right? And to let it go down over there. The second thing in NHL, and this may be important for everybody, every time you go see a play like this, if the puck, Michael, hit the outside of the skate, they gave it the goal. If it's coming from the inside of the skate, they will disallow the goal. So the rule is really more this way over there.
Yeah.
So when you hit from the outside, they mentioned where it's hard to kick a puck from the outside of the skate versus everything like that. And I'm telling you right now, when you do a edge with the way he did it, you need to have some skill over there. And everything like that. Now it's a little bit worried because the skate get a little bit high on it does not touch the ice, everything like that. It's a little bit about that one there. But then you have to give credit for the players do those moves like this. That's where the reason NHL does not disallow a goal like this from the kick from the outside of the skate versus the kick from the inside. And think about this: if you're a skater, it's not easy to kick the puck on your outside. It's not easy. It's really harder. From the inside, you just push. It's just like a soccer ball. So that will the difference between this part. Really explained by the ref. ESPN did something great that NBC never do. They bring a ref now. It was Jackson, I believe, inside the booth.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And this is great. The other sport does it. The NFL does it. The baseball does it now. And the basketball does it also. Given a great information for the people, everything like that. At the first, I thought it was not good. Then after that, when you watch the replay and you hear the people talking, I think that's the way to do it. And I know it's frustrated if you're Seattle fans. I understand that, but that's the rules. And I think for me, I look the talent or the skill of the player to do it.
I didn't think it was that much.
Easy to do it. So I understand the big discussion about this and Seattle losing that way, but for me, I just want to explain why they allowed the goal. It was really the way they was talking about this today on the social media.
We have some comments on this. So Yarmo, first of all, says, in European hockey, this is never a goal. And I agree with this. Personally, I do not like to see a goal intentionally where obviously the guy's moving his foot, obviously he's angling it, and he lifts his toe up. To me, that shouldn't be a goal. It should be off the stick. And that's kind of my opinion and the way I see it. As Bud the Monkey says, this isn't soccer. And Ellen says, in my opinion, the goal should only be by a hockey stick or off somebody's butt. I get if it bounces off you and you're not thinking, but as soon as you move your foot and he angles it, to me, it kind of like you're blurring the line. I just prefer not to see it. But I get why they, because it was on the outside and that's the way the rule's written in the NHL. I get it. All right. So we had some other comments around the Florida Panthers. One was, now that Giordano is captain of Seattle and Ekholm is signed, which defenseman should the Panthers look at? Is Ekholm signed in Nashville? I can't remember.
Yep, it was signed this morning.
Oh, okay. Hold on. What was you want to do a breaking news? Or
No, go ahead. It's just fun.
Whatever the noise is. So Matthias Ekholm signs with the Nashville Predators to stay there. It's a $6.25 million contract. So I'm trying to look at how this is structured because let's see. How many years is this contract? Oh, it's 1, 2, 3. It's 4 years or 5? 5-year contract, I think. No, it's 4. Sorry. So 4 years, $25 million.
Yeah, it's a 4 years, a $6.25 million signed for the Matthias Ekholm. And again, this is another great contract for the Nashville with him. That's the second time he was below his money. He was below $4 million.
Yeah,
Now he gets 6.25, where I believe he could get 7.5 and many plays, to be honest with you. But
I'm very surprised.
he's a tighter man. He is. He's a guy with
Yeah,
a lot of integrity. And for him, money is just not what is the most important things. He's
maybe.
happy to play in Nashville, love to play there. He's a
Yeah.
great asset for them. He's a number 2 and number 3, whatever you
Yep.
qualify him. And he complete really with Roman Ozy now. Since like Rand Ellis is gone, he become number 2 over there for 6.25. Same kind of money they gave to Jeff Petrie for the Montreal Canadiens. So I think it's a great overall for him and for the organization, Nashville Predator.
So to answer this question, I'm not sure who they should target. Um, it's a really good question because those were two likely scenarios. We know Ristolainen's already moved, so a lot of the names that were mentioned before are now all tied up somewhere else. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on it and see like who shakes free. I think the move to get Ewell Levy will be more of like a top 6 type guy on the left side, and maybe it's just the fact they get a left shot, and I think he'll be capable of kind of playing that 5, 6, 7 role for them, but he's not a top 4. So do you think that Panthers still need a top 4 left shot defenseman?
But no, they have not really. Yes, it depends, right? They have Montour, Foxland, Forsling, everything like that. I think what they're looking more is more depth, what they have right now, and they don't have what I'm talking about. Oli is not good enough. Connington is not good enough. Kerstead is not good
Right.
enough. Ludwig is not good enough, and they have number 5 at that moment. Kudas, where it should be number 6. So they're looking for someone a mix between 4 and 5 and 6.
Right.
With more experience, more physicality, deeper, and that's what be they're really at one hole they need to fix at some point. So at the trade deadline, there'll be that area there. Talking about this, I think Josh mentioned Anaheim. It would be someone you have to look about this one. They would put him on the trade bait. That would be something. You have a couple of the UFA. It's going to be there like Raleigh. They're going to Langholm. They have Chris Ledank. They have a couple of things like that. But that's not fixed what they're looking for. So you have the guy a little bit more. I think the best for them they could get was Jan Cole for the Carolina Hurricane. That's the type of players I'm talking about. A player like this, not offensive, but more defensive. And that would be something they're looking for. Every time that. I think they have the Matthias Ekholm at some point. They have Wegar, McKenzie. Again, McKenzie would be better number 3, but he's a number 2 right now for them. So that's depend what Montour is going to play and Forsling for them. They play the level they played last season. I think they'll be fine. But again, that's one position they're looking for is maybe as a defense at some point.
I'm going to point out 2 other names on Anaheim that would make a lot of sense to me. One is Lindholm. If they're serious about moving Hampus Lindholm,
the problem is he's become UF3. He's going to get 6.20, 650, 6.5, and now they don't have money anymore.
Next year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like for this year, a deadline type deal, I could see them grabbing a guy like this or Fowler.
Yeah, but again, Fowler is too much. But you're going to give a first-round pick or a second-round pick for that? Fowler is going to sign up. It's not. You know what I mean?
Do they win the cup? I guess that's the question. Like, is this a team that if you have that missing piece, like they don't really have many other missing pieces, Pierre? I mean, could this not be missing piece to go for a cup?
No.
Because, to your point, like Fowler's 6.5, there would have to be some retained salary. Lindholm is only 27. He's 5.2. And I think you're right. He'll get a similar contract to Matthias Ekholm, maybe higher. You never know. Josh Manson is only 4.1, but he's a right shot defenseman. So it'd be interesting to see. And I think, those other 2 guys are probably a little bit better than Josh, but any of those 3 would definitely help. Someone mentioned, Johnny said, take Savard off our hands. I think the book on Savard is out, Johnny. Like, I think people realize after last year with Tampa and this year that he's got some holes in his game. So I'm not sure they might go for a guy like that, right?
Well, the problem with him is because now he's stuck for him for 4 years. Second thing is have a really bad training camp. Thirdly, hopefully this not turn like another Carl Alsner for the Montreal Canadiens. So
I think it might.
It will be interesting. Now, the key right now is this part. He's just not at the right chair. So
He's
when he's going to be at the right chair, he's going to be fine. Now they
yeah.
try to put him more like a defense number 3, where he's not, because the Montreal don't have Weber and Munson anymore.
Yeah, he's
That's the
not.
problem happening for that. It's not like the guy overall. It's just the guy tried too much to impress, everything like that.
Yeah.
When he's going to be at the number 5 or 6,
He's
whatever,
fine.
on the third pair, he's going to have 17 minutes. He's going to help your team better. It's just right now, the situation Montreal Canadiens make him looking bad also. That's not make an excuse. He make a lot of turnover and bad decision, everything like that. But again, is it because he tried too much? Or, you know what I mean? It's on you also. I gave him a couple of the time, but again, he did not. He was not very impressed so far.
He struggled in Tampa last year too. So I think the reality is he is what he is. He's a 5'6" defenseman, and he's going to make mistakes. He's a strong guy, and he skates decent, but he's not going to give you offense, and he'll turn over the puck and make bad defensive choices, and that means he's not a top 4. So I don't know. I don't think this is as bad as the Carl Alzner deal. Like Alzner was really struggled when the speed changed. This guy can skate pretty decent. That's not really his issue, but it's a good point. Like, was Carl Alzner like $5 million? I think he might have been, right? He had a pretty big contract.
Who?
Carl Alzner had like what, 5 or 5.7?
No, it was lower, $4 million.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like $5 million.
I think it was 4 and 4.
Now I'm curious. You might be right. Let's take a look what his last contract was. And he was a left shot. What was the last contract? 4.6.
Yep.
So there you go. And the buyout history.
That's for 5 years?
I think so. 1, 2, 5. Yeah. And you know what was weird was you could see in Washington he was kind of done. Like the change in the NHL at that time to a much faster game happened almost overnight. And he was one of those guys that just couldn't handle it. You could see the issues in his skating and his physical punishment that he had taken. Like it just all kind of added up for him. Good guy.
Surprised about this because I think the Montreal make a big mistake with that. So that on the analytic data number, Alzner was the worst in NHL, maybe the bottom of the NHL.
Yeah.
And I don't know, no one from the organization did not see that.
Yeah, I don't know.
People was mentioned on Twitter, that's the one you should not touch it because look, his percentage here, his defensive side is zone entree, everything like that. And Montreal, I don't know, they make a big mistake over there. So they have to blame not the players, they have to blame the organization, Marc Bergevin and the men around him. I don't know who bring them over there, but at the end, always Bergevin make the last decision, so we have to blame him. But really bad contract for the Montreal Canadiens.
And this is a good point that having Edmondson back will bump Savard down to the bottom 6, which will help.
But that's happened, like, you know, at some point, yes and no, because one is a right D, one is a left D. But at the same time, on friend way, PK example. Now you're going to have maybe less minute for Savard, so he's ready for the PK. It would be on the second unit and not on the first unit. So all that adjustment would fix the 6th player better. Right now, Romanov play on the second pair. He should not be there. So you can see yesterday they started to put Petry, Kulak together. Kulak have he was the most consistency defensive players, which Petry have an amazing, great training camp, what he played. But overall, that's what's happening right now. So hopefully they will bring back Savard, push back Whiteman out. Romanov go back 6 and 5 with Savard. And then after that, you readjust those situations over there. But one of the 4, 5 LD have to be LD have to be on the RFD at least when the Whiteman is in lineup, not necessary, but a couple of adjustments for the Montreal Canadiens about that.
Good morning to Philip and Jackson, Game of Games. Ellen brought this up a couple times. So we saw with the Adam Brooks being picked up off of waivers, Ryan Pelling is being sent back to Laval. Does he not have to be exposed to waivers? Is it just that he hasn't?
It was straight to Laval this morning. He was on the ice with the Laval Rocket.
Got it.
When Pelling was sent this morning, the news was get out this morning, but it was sent last night. But it was just announced by the Montreal Canadiens. It was right away at the Laval Rocket practice between Ilonen and Henri Pinard. So Look, he did not show enough to stay in the team, first of all.
No.
Second thing, right now you have Perrault, Paquette. Now you have Aaron Brooks, with is now in the line. So now he be captain. I would not be surprised not see him all year long. At least you have an amazing, great run with Laval Rocket, like 20 game. You have like 35 points, something like that, right? Or 15 game and 22 points. But overall, I believe we're not going to see him again until something happened in the Montreal Canadiens where Aaron Brooks is better to him overall.
Adam Brooks has got skill, Pierre. He's a good right shot winger. Like, I like Adam Brooks. I just think there's just tough sledding in Toronto, but he's a capable offensive player. Like,
Yeah,
this might be a good pick.
And OHL with WHL with Regina. Every time that, yeah, 120 point, 130 point. So it's a kind of number, a point, Michael, like Nick Suzuki and the junior. That's what he looked like Nick Suzuki. Wait a minute, Cole. I'm talking, he's a 5'11, 5'10, Suzuki the same way, right? It's about the same weight. Every time that, you just need to improve. His skate is average. He's not an amazing, great speed. But his vision, second gleam, and he can score. That's what Aaron Brooks does all the time. So I think if he can be better on the defensive side, on the zone coverage, and improve this part over there, create a little bit more urgency. That's what Sheldon O'Keefe said about him. You need to get a little bit more involved and read the play a little bit better. But he said, look, he's before they release him, they have maybe 5 hours meeting between three players, everything like that. So he was play a role at some point. He have 5.11 game last year with Toronto, 4 goal, 1 assist. But again, I think that we help a little bit more what Montreal doesn't have on that level at the bottom 6. A guy can score if he play with the right people. And as a 4 line right now, that line is getting better.
Good.
And with the signature of Suzuki right now, you have a $8 million, a $4.5 million, a $1.7 million, and the bottom is maybe $1 million. So the salary cap for the Montreal Canadiens on the line, it's not too bad at that moment for the next year and for a couple of years, because Tvorek is good for 4 more years. Evans signed at 3 years, I believe. So I think Montreal on salary cap is pretty good.
Just want to say good morning to Eagle Fang. Good morning, guys. I'm still on my season opener hangover. Lost yesterday. Well, I don't know who is Eagle a fan of?
Tampa Bay Lightnings.
Oh, Tampa, got it. So Easy moved Pelling down since he avoids waivers, and it's better for him to play big minutes in the AHL. I got to be honest, I don't see upside for Ryan Pelling. We've watched this guy for a long time before he got to the NHL. He's a very bread and butter player, and if he's not doing things to get in guys' face, to forecheck, back check, there's not a lot of offensive creativity from this guy, and he doesn't have a high skill level. So I think, he's got to carve out a role where he's tougher and he's creating opportunity in other ways. I just don't see him being an elite offensive player. He's got to be like a Danault, where he's like an elite defensive player, and I just haven't seen that from him yet.
Well, I think I call those kind of players like the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's what Putin is. Inconsistency. But I will say to him about this, what we have to be honest with him, improvement since like 2 years ago. He's a better hockey player. He learned a lot better. You can see the improvement. Now he can play a great period. He can play a bad period, and then he can play an ugly period. That's why he is. So with inconsistency, you cannot do that in NHL. When he's involved, it's because he's skating and he's physically involved with the play, with forward check, everything like that. Back check a little bit better. I really like his back check a little bit better. Not back check, zone coverage a little bit better. But again, he's still to learn more. Look, still young. He's 22 years old. Some kid came for the college, take a little bit longer. But again, it's another Rand Donato. It's another Jimmy Vesey. It's another one came from the NCAA college in some time. He was there at a young age. He never played junior, Michael. He never played that level of OHL, WHL. He came straight at 18 years old, one of the youngest player in college Division 1 with St. Cloud. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer to grow, to get better, or to reach that kind of quality of NHL.
Well, I think that we see this, and it doesn't get talked about. Everyone likes the focus on skill that the U.S. hockey has, but not everybody. When everybody has a good skill level, then you've got to be great. And they are developing great players, but then the players underneath, when you don't have any defensive focus and you take this long route, The biggest problem with hockey in the United States, Pierre, is between the ages of 16 and 20. And these guys don't develop at the same rate as if you go to the Canadian Hockey League. And then they're going and they're playing, they're very old. They're 19, 20, 21, 22. They're going to NCAA and they're playing a short season. They're playing 35, 45 games. Whereas you have guys that are like the best 16 and 17-year-olds in the world are playing in the CHL. And they go to the CHL and they play a 68 or a 72 game season. They're playing an NHL style schedule to prep for the games. They're playing in front of fans. And by the time they hit 20, these guys are just starting because they've now had 4 years where they have no development. They're trying to find a place to play and they're trying to avoid the Canadian Hockey League because of all the NCAA rules. So I think this is a problem. And then it's like, now it's good. These guys get contracts and they drag on. But let's be honest. I mean, you've got the same number of players in hockey playing in Canada and the US now. It's about 650,000 in each country.
It's very harder to when you go to college and say, well, first of all, they get a great college, great school, everything like that, right? At least you're an exception like Caulfield or those kind of players, like, you know what I mean? Like you are really talented, they go to college. But if you are an average player, like, you know, you can play in NHL, but not like the first top 6 over there. You go to a little bit difficult play in a college versus a guy playing WHL or a guy playing USHL, Michael. I think USHL is your great right over there. If when you go from there, then you go to college, that's what push back your years to go in NHL, and that's what's difficult about that. That's I'm worried about Sean Farrell. And you go see those kind of player prospect from Montreal, like Harris and Struggle and Doc and Farrell. When they will take again a little bit longer to reach the NHL because they took that right over there. And obviously with 30 games per year, 3 practices per week, and not play with a high level hockey, that would be make them very more difficult to go right away. They have to wait a little bit longer. You're going to see the reason why Kaden Cooley is going to be in front of Harris and Strobel because he's going to play like 80 games this season, blah, 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 all the kind of stuff like that. So it would be great. I just want to let you know, Ellen, she's a really poor Montreal Canadiens fans. The one really deep with Montreal Canadiens, that's what he said. It's all about Toronto again. It's all about, again, Boston Bruins and whatever who they are, whatever is a number, they just hate them.
Yeah. And just to comment on, you know, the WHL versus the NCAA route, look at a guy like Johnny Fairbrother. Like Fairbrother comes in and you watch him and what do you think? Is this guy 24? No, he's 20. Right? He's 2021 and he's more advanced at being ready for the NHL because he played probably like 3 times as much hockey as anyone that went NCAA, and he's younger. And I think we're seeing this in Europe too, Pierre. Look at the German players who play pro. The German players are 17 and 16 and they're going pro. And you look at JJ Peterka, you look at Seider, and they come over and you're like, wow, these guys are pretty complete. Like, and they're not that old. So I think that, you know, babying guys and delaying their development, it's like they hit this thing when they're 15, 16 in the States, they got nowhere to play. Because the USHL is so old too. Because the USHL is only picking up guys that already have NCAA commitments or are likely to, and they're 19 and 20. Like it's such a weird thing. There's like this 3-year, 4-year gap where guys just don't have the pressure to develop. Anyways, it's interesting to see the contrast. What do you think of Shane Pinto? Maybe he makes the third line or second. Which do you prefer? To me, he's kind of like he could be a second line center. I like his skill level overall. What are you thinking about Pinto so far in Ottawa?
He's looking good during training camp. He showed a lot of skill. I think he will make the second line this year, first of all, because the injuries and also Kachuk is out. Colin White is out now. The opportunity to be a second center is there. Can now DJ key him, protect him a little bit more? You know, because the coach, he wants to protect your young kids, players. Maybe key him at the third. Say, look, you're going to play like Lundell right now with Florida. Same scenario. They don't want to play them again, the best to other team, and then they want to give them better chance with other third line, fourth line to opponent team. So I'll not be surprised he will be third line. But again, he have the skill. The kid is getting better and better. You're impressed watching him. It was a great pick for Ottawa, but I'm not be surprised with the situation they have right now to put him on the second line. because they don't have enough players that kind of
They're
level
missing
at
one
that
guy.
moment.
I mean, this team looks so different without Brady Tkachuk. It's
Well,
so crazy.
he's a one piece of the puzzle, right? He's their best
Huge.
player right now, and they without them, they're going to struggle. And I'm scared it could become another Nylander. I'm scared it could be another Marner. And yesterday, I don't understand the owners of, and that's the reason right now some player right now the worry in Ottawa. That's what Kachuk is not want to get 8 years because the owner is not
Difficult.
he's not want to open up to keep those kids over there. So
It's
that
crazy.
team is going to be now is going to get another great pick again. That's a good news for them. Going to stay at the bottom of that.
Brutal.
They cannot compete right now what they have against Toronto and
None.
Boston and Florida and Tampa Bay.
Yep. All right. Johnny Golden said something important. He said, I asked my wife if I can get a tattoo, and she said, as long as I got in a place that didn't matter, so I got it in Toronto. Regular season. Good morning, Striatic. How do you think your Seattle Kraken did last night? Regular season's fun, and Frenchy play-by-play makes it even more fun. Yeah, we appreciate you doing that, Pierre.
You're welcome. Thanks, Jessic. It was great to see him. I'm sure he was like he predict the Kraken maybe win whatever he would like to they win yesterday. I think it was a good game overall for Seattle Kraken, and that's what you're looking for. You're going what you see yesterday, Michael. That would happen to them 50 times this year.
Yep.
Where they're going to go lose by one or maybe tie up, lose in the OT. They deserve yesterday to go in OT and losing 4-3. I think 1 point that would be great for them. Unfortunately, they did not turn that way. But again, is the team never going to give up? The worst thing for me was last night. I was thinking, hopefully this not go 6-0. That would be and shut down completely the Kraken, because now that would be like that as a new team, new game, a first game. You don't want those kind of blowout happening to the team. So I turn around to be great, and that's what you get. That's what you get also for the coach. He's a little bit a defensive coach. He did very well as assistant coach for Toronto. You can see the transformation of Toronto on the defensive side. That's where he is. So he's going to build from the bottom, and the team with protocol COVID-19 guys, 5 players in the morning, maybe not play the evening, and all kind of stuff like that. I think it was really hard for them mentally to be ready about that. So I think they're going to be, will be interesting to see what they're going to go with. Their schedule, Michael, is not bad after that. They play not like a big game, like a big team. So the next 5 game, I'm not be surprised they go maybe, I expect what was 1-3-1 I expect for them, but it will be interesting what they're going to get for the first 5 games before they go back in Seattle.
So, Pierre, I do have to stop before the top of the hour. So a couple quick things. One, I think that you're going to have – I don't know if I agree with this statement, and Enertap made it a couple times. He says if they get early leads, they're going to be tough to beat. I don't see that yet. I think they have to prove that, because right now I see they have some defensemen that were washed out in other places, and you can still see they still have the same problems. Vince Dunn, Fleury, Giordano's very good. Alexiak's good. Adam Larson's good overall, but he's not perfect. So I think
that he's a good defenseman I think overall they'll be fine. If they have the lead, they have they have the kind of players you can get on the defensive side, like Danev, and you can don't squeeze over there. They can handle them more. It's just like when they trail, it would be hard for them to come back. That's what, for me, I see that thing.
I think they're going to have a hard time both ways, because I don't see them yet, and they might just need time. I think they need time to get that type of identity down. And you could see last night, there was a lot of unforced errors. And maybe it's what Striatic said, which is the D pairings didn't play together in preseason, which is a little bit strange. So that just might be a time thing, and then that solves it. Because you can see the personnel. Enertap's right. If you look at the personnel, on D particularly, they could be that. And on forward, right? They got guys that are used to playing that third type role. I want to say they have good goaltending. I didn't think Grubauer looked great last night. He moves a lot. He overcommits to the right a lot. I was very surprised. And that, again, might just be nerves. So I think they just
I think overall he did very good. I think he only the first goal against Pacioretty. I think he should stop that one over there. Again, Marchessault, you have to give credit to Marchessault. He challenged him And Marchessault, the problem there, nobody hit Marchessault.
And
To
gave him a
come back
pass.
strong on the right side after that. But a
Yeah.
great play before that, it was the pass from Carlson to Smith to Marchessault about that. So you have to give them. I think overall, Kruber did not start the game like the team very well. But I think he rebound, he come back, and he was stronger at the end, better. But that's what you're going to get with Kruber. It's not going to be the Kruber of Colorado.
Right.
You're going to be the Kruber you got with Washington. That's what you're going to get, a 2.60, a 2.6, and a 9.905 to 0.91. That's pretty much what you're going to get for Kruber.
Yep. What's interesting to me, Pierre, is if you look at Vince Dunn, he was a -2 at one point in the game, and then he ends up even. So I think that's what you're going to see from him is he'll make mistakes. He'll create opportunity for both teams. So you'll probably be okay in the end. It'll kind of wash out. All right, tonight, let's look quickly at the games, and then I got to bounce. If you want to stay on, you're more than welcome to. Tonight, we have a big game, Montreal versus Toronto, to kick off their seasons. This game is at, 7 o'clock Eastern. The Rangers versus the Capitals. We see the Ducks versus the Jets at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then Blackhawks versus Avalanche. I'm actually very interested in seeing this game. And then the Canucks versus Oilers. I think overall, Oilers have improved, and it's good to see the Canucks have their big players back in. And I think Canucks have improved. Like, he made some pretty aggressive moves with Garland and some of the other pieces.
Yeah. I think the key for me tonight is too many missing big star. McKinnon is out. Marner is going to be out, possible. Austin Matthews is out. Carey Price is out. Weber is out. Just right there, you're missing a big piece over there. The big game is between Ryan Reeves and Tom Wilson. Carey Bettman is going to be at the Madison Square Garden tonight at the game at the Washington, so it'll be interesting to see that. Then it's open up for TNT. ESPN did a great job overall yesterday.
I thought so.
Coverage, everything like that. Fun to see Mac Messier and Chris Chelios on the boot. But they're learning. But I think overall was pretty good. Good coverage, and the point they have the show now with Boozy Cross is pretty good. You have a chance watching this, so I think overall it was a good performance for ESPN. So 5 games tonight. I'm going to cover them at 5 o'clock p.m. This afternoon. We'll have a go there from 5 to 6 and 6:15. I do the pregame show with the Montreal Canadiens. We do a live stream, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto, with a post game after that. And I'm going to watching other game, but not necessarily like a live stream like last night, finished at 1 o'clock in the morning. So 5 hours yesterday, 9 hours of live stream overall, 7.5 a live stream yesterday. But it's all good.
Thank you, Pierre. We will see you tonight.
Awesome. Have an amazing, great day, everybody.